after the news that we all heard last night, that we are going to be quarantined for like the 2nd of May, I think we all got a little bit, worse, okay? And in a way or another, we all know that this is made for our sake, to stay healthy, to stay positive, to stay in a good condition, so we can get rid of coronavirus, so to stay safe at home, because it's the only medicine, I think, it's the only prevention we have, is to stay at our houses or in our houses. You see this, like, I have this, so these balloons, they make me kind of optimistic, because I really got depressed last night because of the news that, we have more infected people, and we are going to stay in our houses for longer time. And after, like, we were like, I don't know, in a way or another, we were like hoping to start in the middle of April, okay, to start our life again, okay. So I try to keep this scene behind me, so I feel more positive, more optimistic, more energetic, maybe, okay. I hope you can find something like this, just to I don't know, just I'm trying to keep spring inside, So since, like, we are all locked down. Okay, in our session today, we are going to continue with Unit 3, which was about books and reviews, movies and news. I remember that we talked about the man who stayed in his, in his car, or who was, locked in or stuck in his car under snow for like more than or almost 60 days, and survived eating handfuls of snow. We listened to people, doubting the news, and they were kind of skeptical about the news, and they questioned, like, different conditions. Today we are going to continue with books. Okay, and the section we are going to start today is vocabulary and speaking, books and films. I think, you are, or let me say, like 80% of you are interested in books and films. If it's not reading the book, so watching the movie, that, depends on the book. I personally prefer to read the book before I watch the movie, because I feel like the book has more details, and it has a nice soul, but because I like to hold the book in my hands and flip the pages and just enjoy the smell of the book even. Okay, so I can imagine the all the details. Okay, so when I see the movie, I cannot I cannot let my imagination get the details I want, or I like, or that I wish. But once I watched a movie before I read the book, so I felt like I felt disappointed, by the way. Like, I don't know why, but the book is more interesting. It's more, it's more like your son, it's more like, you can hold it, go anywhere, and it's something that is touching in a way or another. I don't know how, but you need to feel it. If you're not interested in books, you are interested in reading PDFs. Anyway, I'm not talking about, book as paper book and PDF. I'm talking here about books and movies, and novels and movies. So sometimes watching the movie is it can somehow kill the, very amazing descriptions and very amazing details. So we need to depend, I think, like, we need to read the book before we watch the movie. Okay, this is my personal opinions, but, to each his own. So now let's start with books and films. and I'm gonna give you an idea about different types of books, okay? Also can give you some examples about them. To people who are not interested in books and movies, you might find this unit kind of boring, but it's very necessary and very important to learn the vocabs about this. Okay, let's start. Are you ready? Let's hit it. First, let's talk a little bit about genres of book. We have fiction and non-fiction books. Fiction, which is like unreal, and non-fiction, depending on true information or real life. Talking about, fiction, we are going to talk about traditional literature. We're going to talk about fantasy, science fiction, realistic fiction, historical fiction, and mystery. Back to traditional literature. Literature, are stories that are passed down from one group to another, and also it can include folk tales, legends, fables, fairy tales, tall tales, and also myth. Okay, and they are taken from different cultures. They are very and they're I like this genre of books so much. I like to read about fairy tales, and also legends and folk tales, because somehow they can give you information about the culture that is taken from. Somehow they can tell you a little bit information about how people lived in the past, what social traditions and ways of communication they followed. Could be true, could be not, okay? But it's nice to let your, I don't know, it's like a flash from the past. It can give you something nice. And especially when we talk about fairy tales, like it's related to magic and people, it's nice to learn how old people used to educate their youngers using fairy tales. They used to make them and to give them lessons, okay, through tales. And it was the best way of educating, and I believe till now. The second one is fantasy. Fantasy is a story including elements that are impossible, such as talking animals or magical powers, okay? And science fiction. Science fiction is a type of movies that most people are interested in now, and of books, because most of the movies are depend on books, but it's all about a type of fantasy that uses science and technology, like robots, like time machines, any kind of technology to enable people to do supernatural things, okay, and also to predict the future, okay. So most of them are about future. Also science fiction, realistic fiction is a story using made up characters, but these characters perform to do things that can happen in life, okay. Now, historical fiction. Historical fiction is something from the title, Historical story takes place in a particular time period in the past, and generally the setting is real, or the place is real, but the story could be made up, the characters could be made up, but the place is true and real. Okay, but everything else related to the details can be taken from the author's imagination. Mystery is a super let me say suspenseful story about a puzzling event that is not solved until the end of the story, okay. And talking about mysteries, we have a lot of mysteries around the world that are not solved. They have theories about these mysteries, but not final solution, or not final conclusion about this, but they have theories and predictions and assumptions. So now, Bermuda Triangle, okay, it's still a mystery. Ships that disappeared in the past and how they disappeared and why they disappeared. You know, different things about and different assumptions about how they disappeared. So this is kind of mystery, okay? Now, talking about non-fiction stories and books, we have informational ones. Okay, the ones that are informational, they're talking about, you know, texts that provide the facts about a variety of topics like sports, animal science, history, careers, travel, geography, space, and weather. Okay, so they are kind of informative one. Biography. Biography is the story of a real person's life and written by another person, while an autobiography is the someone's life story, but it's written by the person himself, and you know, trying to write down all the experiences and what he learned through his life. Okay. And also we have other genres like poetry, okay, and you know, poetry, like poetry is verse written to create a response of thought and feelings, okay, from the reader. So these are genres of books. You might be interested to know them. So yeah. Again, like they are, in a way or another, they're close to genres of movies, since we talked about genres of books in this way. Okay, we have genres of movies, but in genres of movie, we have other movies, we have other genres, like we have action, drama, romantic, you know. So we're going to talk about them later, okay? We have different people speaking about different movies, okay, and while speaking about these movies, about their favorite movies and books, they're going to tell us about the genre of the movies and what type they prefer, blah 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 blah. Okay, now let's go back to the first exercise in vocabulary and reading, and speaking. Guys, most of the vocabulary here are related to books and films, okay? So it's not a bad idea to write them down and write everything you want to know about, how to talk about a book you've read or a movie you've seen or you've watched. Many times I ask my students, like, what's your favorite movie? He will say like, or she will say like, let me say what movie is like amazing, the Night of the Dark, okay, something like this. So because I don't like this kind of movies and books. So if they say this, okay, I'll ask them like, what can you tell me about it? I say like, now this is like he's in boiling water, okay, so he can't express what he likes about the book, the movie or the book. Or what's your favorite book? They will say like something for, Dan Brown, because he's like, or something for Agatha Christie, a book by Agatha Christie, or a book by as I said, like Dan Brown. So what's the book about? What's the story? Okay, it's hard to tell the story, but at least to give a review or a summary about the book. It's not that difficult, but you should know what to talk about, okay? First, you should tell me, like, if the question, like, what's your favorite book? You need to tell me the title of the book, the writer, the genre, the main details, and what you like about the book, okay? Some people like the plot of the story. Some people like the way the author or the writer describe the characters, the description. Other people are interested in the sequence of events. Other people would like the genre of the book itself. Okay, they are interested. Could be as like if it's fiction, they would enjoy it. Okay, because this is their type. Okay, so let's start with the first exercise to check how we talk about books and movies. Okay. Let's start. The first question is, we usually want to know some things about books or a book before we start reading it, here are some answers. Write the questions. Okay, so together let's read the answers. Okay, and you need to write the question. The number one, two of them are down. Okay, so let's start with number one. Charles Dickens, Agatha Christie, and John Grisham. So here I have names. Obviously, we're asking about the author. So who wrote it is the best question, or who was it written by? Okay. Now, number two, it's a romance, a biography, psychological thriller. Okay, so again, here since we're talking about biography, I already explained this, and romance, we're talking about the genre of the book. So we're talking about what type of book is it, what genre of book is it, what kind of book is it. Okay, so all these answers are correct. Number three, the answer is it's about a boy meets a girl, the painter Van Gogh, a man with a strange obsession. Again, here, I have like a topic sentence, let me say, or a main idea, or, the content of the book, the main content of the book. So what's it about? Okay, what's the book about? Number four, we have London in the 19th century, modern American, the planet Zog in 2250. And here I'm talking about where and when did it happen, and also, or did it take place? Number five, a boy called Harry Potter. Oh, good, I like Harry Potter. Killer and his psychiatrist. Okay, psychiatrist. Okay, is a man who is a doctor, or a man who helps you with your if you have like problem in dealing with the if you have a mental situation, or you feel bad, you feel depressed, you feel alone, you feel something like this, so you go to a psychiatrist to help you. Okay, so what question is good for this? Could you get it? Okay. Is it about are they asking about because it's close to number three. It's about a boy who meets a girl. Okay, but here a boy called Harry Potter, or here we have who's the hero, or who's the main character in the book. Okay, who is the hero, or who's the main character? Also, we have number six. Yes, it has. It came out a few years ago and starred Johnny Depp. Okay, here they're talking about since I have starred the star was, or the hero was. Johnny Depp, and here they're asking if it has been made into a movie. Okay, the book, the novel. Number seven, really tragically, it's frustrating because we don't really know. They all live happily ever after. How did it end? Okay, this is because I think you all know they live happily ever after. Most of fairy tales end like this, if you're interested in fairy tales. And number eight, we have yes, I would. I couldn't put it down. It took a while to get into, but then I was hooked. Guys, yes, I would. Do you recommend it? Okay, I said to you, I have some free time now, and I'd like to take up reading as a hobby. Okay, so what's the best? Do you recommend the book you're reading now? I will say yes, I do. Or yes, I would recommend it, because here I couldn't put it down, means I couldn't leave it. Okay, I was really interested in reading this book. It took a while to get into to understand the events, or to understand the whole idea about the book. But then he was hooked, means he couldn't also he was so interested. Exercise 9, we have or number 9, we have the answer. Most said it was a great read. There was one bad review in the New York Times. Okay, so here they're asking about the reviews of the book. Okay, and if other people are talk nicely about the book, or they're talking about the reviews of the book. Okay, so it could be like what reviews are there about the book. 10, and the last one. Yes, it has. It was awarded the Booker Prize for first-time writers. Okay. Has it won any award or any prize? Just like that. Okay. Now we have 3.7 track. Let's listen to it to check our answers if they are close or the the exact ones. Let's listen, guys.
3.7. 1.
Who wrote it?
2.
What kind of book is it?
3.
What's it about?
4.
Where and when is it set?
5.
Who are the main characters?
6.
Has it been made into a film?
7.
How does it end?
8.
Would you recommend it?
9.
What did the critics say about it?
10.
See this one? What did the critics say about it? Okay, which is about most said it was a great read. So that was number 9. Okay, what did the critics say? Critics, people who read the book and try to criticize, to say like what's good about it and what's bad. Okay, mostly say what's bad.
Has it won any awards?
Yeah, does it won any awards? Okay, that was the final one. Okay, guys. So this is the exercise of number 1 about books and films. Okay, and we heard the track about it. In number 3, okay, look at the online review of a book called The Fallen Curtain by Ruth Rendell. What kind of stories does she write and what words are used to describe them? Has she won any awards? Okay, let's go to the second part to check. And here we have also we read the okay, this is number 4. No, before, guys, let's read what's written about her. Who's she? If you can check here, we have the title of the book, the front page, and then we have the writer. Okay, we have bookseller rating and we have customer rating. Bookseller rating is 3 stars and customer rating is 4 stars. The Falling Curtain is the title of the story, and Ruth Rendell is the writer. The short stories in The Falling Curtain are from a crime writer at the height of her powers. Ruth Rendell employs all her spine-chilling crafts to produce a page-turner that makes the heart pound. She lays bare the twisted workings of the unbalanced mind in these tales. That's nice. Okay, and also in these tales, the tales that she's telling us, in these tales of haunting psychological accuracy. Okay, so she writes kind of stories that are so exciting, thrilling, and the ones that makes you feel like they said spine chilling. Okay, or chill. Now, here's awarded an Edgar by the Mystery Writer of America. So yes, she has won an award. Okay, mystery. I told you about the meaning of mystery, if you remember, right? Okay, so let's talk about the facts about her. From the press. Suspense at its best, the Times. Okay, so here we have reviews about the books she writes and the stories. The Falling Curtain is a book of different stories. Okay, so from these stories we have reviews about these stories. Suspense at its best is the Times. Then, number 2, we have one of the best inventors of plots since Agatha Christie. This is for Daily Telegraph. Ruth Rendell is at the top of her class. The observer. Rendell transcends the mystery genre and achieves something almost sublime, which is about the Los Angeles Times. So here we have the reviews, guys, about Rendell. Okay? Good. I like the writings of Agatha Christie. How about you? Are you? Or you're not interested in reading at all? Okay. Okay. Here, this is something nice. Okay, this is what you see now is exercise 4. In this exercise, we are going to, let's read the question first. Okay, we have titles and we have some kind of review about the stories of Rendell. Okay, so let's read the titles and then let's read extracts taken from the story, and we have to match the title to the extract. Okay, guys, are you ready? Let's start. First, I'm going to read the question. Okay, guys, the question is, read the synopsis of 6 of the stories, match them with the titles. Okay, the vinegar mother, the double, you cannot be too careful, people don't do such things, the falling curtain, the clinging woman. Okay, let's move to the reading. And please, I want you to focus here. Okay, we have the reader's preview and we have ordering. Okay, and then we have the synopsis. Okay, let's read them. I'm gonna read and give you the answers immediately, guys. Okay, so, and I think it's gonna be clear. Let me start. 1. Lisa fears of her life when she meets her exact double, the sensuous, manipulative Zoe, but Lisa's fiance Peter becomes obsessed with Zoe, risking his savings and his sanity for her. Okay, we have the word double, so it's clear that we are talking about where was it? Okay, the number 1. No, number 1, it was the mother, the double. Okay, the double. Let's move to number 2. Number 2, a cautious woman's desire for security within her home is tested to the extreme by a roommate who often leaves the door unlocked, which leads to sinister consequences. What do you think? Which one is this? You want me to continue with number 3? Generally, this is what I do when things are not that clear for me, so I go for the next one. Suburban, a person who doesn't live in the heart of the city, but around the city. Suburban couple have an exciting, charismatic new friend, Reeve, a writer whose behavior towards them soon becomes both violent and sinister. Okay. Next, sometimes mothers are not maternal. They reject their children. Here, the mother-daughter relationship is disastrously played out. And here we're talking about, of course, the vanguard mother, because it's clear, but I'm keeping the confusing ones in the end. A quiet living, modest man rescues a young woman from suicide and goes on to marry her, only to become a victim of her obsessive possessiveness. And then we have the last one is a stranger. Lure 8-year-old Richard into his car with the promise of sweets. Age 18, he is still haunted by the incident, but remembers nothing until he revisits the site and the curtain lifts. Okay, so after visiting the site after like 18 years, he remembered everything about this attraction. Okay, the person attracted him to the car and promise of with the promise of sweets. Okay, guys. So here again, I'm gonna talk about as we said. Number one is the double. Number two is three. You cannot be too careful because we're talking about unlocked doors and things like that. Then the next one we have. Let me go back. Yes, number three is. Four people don't do such things, and then then we have number one, okay, which is the Wenger mother I told you about, and the one before the last is number six, which is the clinging woman, because obsessive possessiveness. Here we're talking about, I don't know what happened, but you're going to read about this in the reading page exercise, which is about the clinging girl, a girl who was clinging to a balcony. I'm burning it. Okay, so let's keep it to the reading page. And the last one, of course, it's number five, the falling curtain, when things clear out and they are obvious to everybody, and at least to the main character we're talking about here. Okay, that was everything about reviews from readers, and this is how a little bit you can learn how to talk about stories and books you've read. Some of the words that I want to mention here, like maternal, means like motherly, related to moms. Okay, lure is to tempt the person or to attract the person to take him to a place. Okay, Vanguard here means like moody. Okay, moodiness, a person who is always frowning and never laughs at laughing or funny things, and a person who causes let me say bad temper all over wherever he is. Okay, generally we are accused women as being anger or moodiness, or let me say sulky or something like this. Okay, these are the words. Also we have the word sinister, I think. Sinister means evil or threatening, or something that causes a lot of bad. Okay, that was everything about this page, guys. Let's move now to the reading page. As I remember, we don't have extra. The reading. Look here, look at this. We have the clinging woman. Okay, we have two parts to read and to answer. Are you ready to answer the questions about as usual? We have highlighted words. These highlighted words can a little bit be important and spotty. We need to translate them and to find the meanings of at least we have the equivalent. Okay, and then we have different questions about it. So are you ready to do it? Okay, reading and listening book at bedtime. Book at bedtime, book at bedtime, it's like, the final thing the final thing they do in their day is to read, a few pages before they sleep, or a book before they sleep. We call it bedtime book. To kids, it's like bedtime story. You read the story to kids, okay? And I like this phenomena a lot, or this habit, or this, I don't know what we call it, but it's so nice and passionate. Now, let's start with reading the first question, and then we are going to continue with the reading. Ready? Let's start, guys. The question is in Book at Bedtime, as we mentioned here. You are going to listen to the clinging woman as told on the radio. Actually, here they don't have the listening, okay, for it, even in the book. So don't be surprised if you cannot find track 3.8 because it's not there. We need to read it and figure out the answers. Here, look at the picture and answer the questions. So let me show you the picture. The questions are, what's the woman doing? What's the man in the window doing? And what is she thinking? What is he thinking? What do you think happens next? So we have to read the whole story, the two parts, to figure out what they are doing, guys. But here, okay, the title is The Clinging Woman. As you notice, we can see an alarm clock here. Okay, the alarm clock is to talk about, to show that it's bedtime. Okay, so this is a story. We have a glass of water, we have a lamp, and the book. Okay, next to, I think it's, under. Yeah, it's under the book. Anyway, here we have part 1. Let's read part 1 and check the answer, then the questions. But in the picture here, as you can see, we have this woman. See the woman? Clinging woman. Where is she? As you can see, look. And here down we have a shadow of a man. Okay, down. So let's read part 1 to check what we are going to do here. Part 1. The girl was hanging by her hands from the railings of a balcony. The balcony was on the 12th floor of the high-rise block next to his. His flat was on the 9th floor, and he had to look up to see her. Okay? It was 6:30 in the morning. He had been awakened by the sound of an aircraft flying dangerously low overhead, and had got out of bed to look. His sleepy gaze descending from the blue sky, which was empty of clouds, empty of anything but the bright vanishing arrow of the aircraft, alighted at first with disbelief on the hanging figure. So as you notice, here we have, the two characters are a man and a girl. Okay, check, this is number 2. Okay, listen to the introduction on the radio, to the radio program. Listen and read part 1. We already read part 1, guys. Complete the facts that are established in this part. Here we have, like, as you can see, okay, there are 2 characters, a man and a girl. Okay, the girl was clinging. He lives on the 9th floor while she lives on the 12th one. It's 6:30 in the morning. The weather is good, clear, okay, and nothing in the sky. But he can see first he can see a clinging girl, and he can see a bright vanishing arrow of the aircraft. Okay, so this is what he can see from his window. Now let's continue. The highlighted words to be done later. Okay, as usual. Can you see them? Okay. Now let's move to the second part, guys. Also, it's listening 1. But again, no listening was provided with the text here. I don't know why, but I think, it's from the downloading. There is a missing track here. Actually, 2 missing tracks. It's 8, 9, and I think also 10 is missing. Okay. But we can answer without listening since you can read them. Let's continue here with this part, reading. What happened later after he could see the woman clinging from the balcony? And what did he do? What happened? Why is the girl clinging from the balcony? Is she committing suicide? Committing suicide, by the way, suicide, to kill yourself, and we use the word commit because it's considered as a crime. Okay, so let's read it. He really thought he must be dreaming, for his sunrise, for this sunrise time was the hour for dreams. Then, when he knew he wasn't, he decided it must be a stunt. This was to be a scene in a film. There were cameramen down there, a whole film unit, and all the correct safety precautions had been taken. Probably the girl wasn't even a real girl, but a dummy, fake one. He opened the window and looked down. The car park, paved courts, grass spaces between the blocks, all were deserted. On the balcony rail, one of the dummy's hands moved, clutching its outers more tightly, more desperately. He had to believe then what was obviously happening unbelievable only because melodrama thought, though a frequent constituent of real life. Always is. The girl was trying to kill herself. She had lost her nerve and now was trying to stay alive. All the thoughts and conclusions of his occupied about 30 seconds. Then he acted. He picked up the phone and dialed the emergency number for the police. The arrival of the police cars and the ultimate rescue of the girl became the focus of gossip and speculation for the tenants of the 2 blocks. Tenants, people who live in the blocks. Some found out that it was he who had alerted the police, and he became an unwilling hero. Good, pretending. Okay, he was a modest, quiet young man and disliking this limelight. Was relieved when the talk began to die away. When the novelty of it wore off, and he was able to enter and leave his flat without being pointed at as a kind of St. George and sometimes even congratulated. Nice. He doesn't like to be. About a fortnight after the morning of melodrama, he was getting ready to go to the theater, just putting on his overcoat when the doorbell rang. He didn't recognize the girl who stood outside. He had never seen her face. She said, "I'm Lydia Simpson. You saved my life. I've come to thank you." Okay. What took him is, a phone call to the police. But he's a hero. Anyway, so this is the story of the clinging girl and how he saved her life and what happened. And, it seemed like she was trying to kill herself. She was out of her mind. And then she, she got conscious again and she alerted and she wanted to somebody to save her. And she couldn't cling anymore she started to maybe move or shake or something like this, but he could and then he was pointed out as a hero, but he didn't like that. He was relieved when the talk and the gossip started to wear off, or to started to to wear off and started to vanish. Okay, so he was happy because of this. Now let's go to the questions. The beginning of the questions. Do you remember the questions? What was the woman doing, or what's the woman doing? Okay, the woman is clinging, to the railings of a balcony. Okay. Number 2, what is the man in the window doing? Okay, he was just looking at the sky, noticing the noise from the aircraft, which was flying, dangerously low. And here, what is she thinking? She's thinking of committing suicide or killing herself. What's he thinking? He's thinking like, it might be a movie or a film. He looked down to, to search or to look for a film set or film unit or, cameraman or something like this, but he found none. What do you think happens next? Of course, saving her is the possible answer, or, we have 2 options: just to save her, or she jumped off and died. Anyway, let's move now to question number 3 about part 2. Listen and read part 2. Answer the questions. What's the man's initial interpretation of what he sees? Okay, so here the meaning of the question, like, what's the first thing he thought of when when he saw the girl clinging from the balcony? He, as I mentioned before, he thought like she's acting in a movie. Okay, he thought of she's maybe a dummy actor, or she's a dummy, a fake girl. Okay. I'm out of breath. Okay, come on, I need to breathe more. What is his second interpretation? How does he know it's wrong? So first he thought of, you know, a movie. Okay, but she like she was an actor in a movie, but it wasn't, or she wasn't. Then he thought of, you know, the real one. Which one? Like, you know, she's committing suicide or trying to kill herself, and she's now, after, you know, losing her temper, she's trying to help herself, or she's trying to rescue herself. Okay, how does he know it's wrong? Because when he looked down looking for the cameraman and the film unit, he couldn't find any of them. Okay, what does he do? The third interpretation, again, as I said, like he called the police to rescue the girl. How do the neighbors react? Gossiping started, and, you know, they were pointing out at the man, and, you know, just spotting him wherever he was moving. Okay, and start, you know, saying like, this is the hero who called the police and who saved the girl and who rescued the girl, and blah 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 blah. Okay, later we have what do you learn about his character? That he doesn't like this. He felt relieved when, you know, speaking and gossiping about him started to vanish, or started to disappear. So he's a kind of person who doesn't like, you know, the lights to be under lights anyway. And then here he's like, number six. What happens 2 weeks later? 2 weeks later, you know, while he was trying, as I can't remember, while he was trying to, or when he was getting ready to go out of his house to go to the theater, you know, the doorbell knocked, and or was knocking or knocked, wherever, and I mean, both are correct. And then, like, he opened to see a girl, okay, standing, you know, opposite him, and he couldn't recognize her face, like he hasn't met her before. And then, why doesn't he recognize the person at the door? Because he hasn't seen her face before, because when he called the police, he was on the second block, and in, you know, not, let me say, not in the same level or on the same floor, but he was lower than her. He was on the 9th, she was on the 12th, so there is a distance. So he couldn't recognize her face, and then he called the police, and he didn't meet the girl because they rescued her, and, you know, things were done. Okay, so because of that, he couldn't know the girl. Okay, now let's continue answering the questions. Okay, we have a but to answer the questions, we have a okay. Part 3 is the listening, guys, and as I mentioned, this listening is missing, so we have no part 3 written. The written ones, or the reading, are part 1 and part 2. Part 3 is only listening one, so, and this is missing because of the downloading. I'm so sorry. We cannot go do it, so let's move to and try to download it many times and try to search for it, and I couldn't. So let's do the exercise, the following one. What do you think? Why is it curious? Why is it curious that they meet the next morning? What do you think that happens? Okay. Also about this one is about, number 3. Let's go for the vocabulary word, guys. The vocabulary word is matching the highlighted words in the text with the synonym or a near synonym from the box. We have notified, clearly, look, courage, final, faded, woken up, center, disappearing, empty, holding tight. Okay, we need to find the answers or the meanings of these words from the title. From the reading extracts. Okay. So let's go back to the words. Yeah, we have the first word is in the reading we have awakened, okay, and this is woken up, okay. Gaze is a look, okay, but it's like a long one, okay, with attention. Vanishing is disappearing. As I mentioned the word many times while I was speaking. And also we have empty, deserted, okay, or the word we have here, deserted, is empty. Empty is deserted. And we have clutching, which is like holding tightly. And we have nerve, courage, ultimate, final, and focus, center. Also we have alerted, notified, and wore off is faded or disappeared also, okay, or vanishing or flashing away or something like this, okay. So these are the vocabulary we have for this and also I know that you have other vocabulary to find in the reading. Please search for them, guys, and try to write them down, okay. Sometimes, oh my gosh, okay. Try to write them down and memorize them, okay. The next exercise here we have, or the next page, is listening and speaking, and I'm going to keep it till next class because we are going to listen to people speaking about favorite books and movies, as you remember I told you about, okay. So here let's keep it, and we have the listening, so don't worry about this. We have, we're going to talk about favorite actors, movies, the plot of the movies and the plot of the, the plot, okay, how and where, and how the whole story is made, or like all the events meet at one point and then like started to be dissolving, okay, again, or to be dissolved, okay. This is everything for today. I don't want to make it longer for you. This was everything about the Klinginger. Guys, try to give me your opinion, comments about books you read, and what do you think of these books. And if you have any question, please ask. I don't know how to say for you, like to say to you how to be patient and how to get advantages of the books and of this PDF, and also how to take and get the most needed advantages from being at home these days. I know how boring it is, and it's going to be, because I really suffered from being home most of the time, but I'm trying to do these videos to first to continue my my passion for this job, and also to keep in touch with you, and to prepare. I know internet is not that helping these days. It's not it's not available most of the time because power is off. Anyway, like what I can say to you, that being patient is the way to the fruit you're gonna get later. So try to take the most of these days. Don't regret them later, okay? Don't regret not doing anything later. So thank you very much. I really hope that you can get something from this. Take care of yourselves, stay home, stay healthy, take a deep breath, and say that we're gonna survive, okay? We're gonna survive and in a good mental situation, okay? See you on Wednesday. Enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy having your family members around you. Family time is not to be compensated again. I'm not lecturing on you, but this is really like a fact you need to understand. Thanks for your watching, and wish you the best, guys. Goodbye.